Chicago Executive Airport information, Juliet, time 1452 Zulu, wind 280 at 11, gusts 18, visibility 10, sky clear below 12,000, temperature -21, dew point -27, altimeter 3058. On Air runway 30, circle to runway 34, approach in use, landing and departing runway 34 and runway 30. Notice to air missions, runway 30, PAPI's out of service. Use caution on the aprons for patchy ice. Advise on initial contact, you have information, Juliet.
Ground, good morning, Cirrus 917, Northeast Tees with Juliet. Taxi, please, will be VFR southeastbound.
Cirrus, was it 917 was the full call sign?
Hey, affirmative, November 917.
Cirrus 917, executive ground, runway 34, taxi via Kilo. Cross runway 24, cross runway 30, Juliet's current.
All right, we've got Juliet. We're taking Kilo down to 34, crossing 12 and crossing 24 for 917.
He said southeast, right?
Hey, affirmative, southeast 1.
All right, good morning, YouTube. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who's subscribed and commented on the channel so far. There's been a ton of great support for this brand new aviation channel that we're launching, so thank you to everyone who's joined already, and welcome to anybody who's new to joining us. We are here at Chicago Executive Airport. It is cold out today. It's -8 degrees Fahrenheit currently, -22 Celsius, and it is a chilly, chilly morning here in Chicago. We're taking a quick maintenance flight down to Bloomington, going to see our friends over at Synergy. The plane is due for its 50-hour oil change, and we're getting that in before we embark on an awesome trip down to the Caribbean. We're taking the plane down to Florida, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, British Virgin Islands. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get over to St. Barth's, and then back up to Chicago. So an awesome, awesome long trip coming up, and just taking the plane down for some quick maintenance before that. On today's flight, I'm hoping to talk a little bit about kind of some of the things leading up to a trip like what we're about to embark on. So it's not every day that you take a single engine piston plane out of the country, over open water, to the Caribbean. It's going to be an awesome trip. We're super excited for it, but definitely some things that you need to think about in preparation for a trip like this. So that's kind of what I'll talk about today on our flight down to Bloomington. We're going to depart out of here VFR. It is beautiful out. There's a few scattered clouds up super high. There's a big high pressure system in here right now. It's the pressure's 30.58, which is probably close to the highest I think I've ever seen it.
That's a really nice looking paint job. Never seen that before.
Hey, I appreciate it. We just picked it up about a month ago, so thanks a lot.
Where do you have to take it to get painted like that?
It's actually a brand new Cirrus. It's 2024. We did a custom paint job with Cirrus directly, so they did all the paint for us.
Oh, it looks really nice.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. You guys have a good day.
You as well. Enjoy your flight.
All right, let's pay attention to what we're doing here. We are crossing two different runways. We're crossing 24 and 30, so there's nobody on 24 either way, and there's nobody on 30 either way. So we're clear to cross here. Got our landing light on as we cross the runways. Get that way, get that way. All right, we're across the runway. Landing light's coming off. Pull this power back a little bit, switch over to tower. Alright, we're going to stop here real quick, do a quick run up. Engine oil temperature is 140, so we're going to do our run up. Bring it up to 1700 RPMs. And we're testing both of our magnetos to make sure they're both producing spark for our spark plugs. So left magneto looks good, back to both. Right magneto looks good, back to both. And then we're pulling back to make sure that we can idle with the throttle all the way in the lowest position, which we can. So give that a bump back up and give tower a call.
Executive Tower, good morning. Cirrus 917, holding short of 34 at Kilo 5, ready for departure.
Cirrus 917, Executive Tower, runway 34, clear for takeoff, south departure.
34, clear for takeoff, southeast departure, approved, 917.
All right, landing lights coming on, probe heat's coming on. We are clear on the right, clear center, and clear left. Fuel pumps boosted, flaps 50, full rich. That's runway 34, IC 34. All right, here we go. Alright, takeoff power set and achieved. Engine is in the green. 60 knots. There, 77, rotate. Ooh, that came quick today. Alright, positive rate, above 90, clear of obstacles, flaps are coming up. Light level change, heading. Caps is available. Start that turn. There's 1800. We're going to level off at 1800 to stay below the Bravo. And this thing just wants to climb today. Alright, we're going to throw on our autopilot. Alright, we're not using oxygen, power lever is good, mixture's leaned out, flaps are verified up, airspeed's definitely over 120. Fuel pump staying on today, in boost mode, and engine parameters look good. Pull up our cruise checklist. So I'm actually having to pull the throttle quite a bit back today. It is minus 29 Celsius up here, and operating at 30.5 inches of pressure is putting us well over 180 knots. So with this cold, dense air, the plane just wants to scream forward. So we're probably going to get down to Bloomington pretty quickly today. And we just got outside of the Delta. We are still below the class Bravo. We're going to head down the Skyline this morning. Over the lakeshore, it might be a little bit bumpy as we get some thermals over the lake, but we'll see how that holds up for us. And we're going to switch over to Chicago approach now that we are out of the Delta. Chicago approach, good morning. Sirius November 917 VFR request.
Sirius 917, Chicago approach, clock 5106.
5106, 917.
Sky west, 4725, climb and maintain 14,000. United 2490, contact Chicago Center 120.35. Sirius 917, radar contact 10 miles northeast of O'Hare, O'Hare Center 3056. Day destination.
3056, position checks. We are going to Bloomington, Bravo, Mike India for 917.
917, roger, maintain VFR outside the class Bravo.
VFR outside the Bravo, 917.
Brickyard 5612, turn right, heading 060, climb and maintain 15,000. Air 917, contact approach 128.2.
282, good day, 917. We're just doing a little bit of extra babysitting on our engine this morning because it's so cold out that our cylinders are staying a little bit on the cooler side than what I like to see. So we're being a little bit quiet just as I'm kind of getting things dialed in a little bit here because the settings are quite a bit different than what this plane usually likes to fly at. Chicago, good morning. Sirius 917, 1800.
Sirius 917, Chicago, departure, correction, Chicago, approach midway, altimeter 3058.
58, 917. Alright, we're getting our temps up nicely. They're all on the green now at least, so that's what I like to see, but they are definitely a lot cooler than usual this morning. trying to keep a little bit of power in to try to keep them warmed
Chicago
up.
Executive 7073.
But I'm kind of battling a little bit here because
Chicago departure radar.
our airspeed is getting a little bit high, so I'm kind of playing with our throttle and our mixture a little bit, just trying to keep the engine cylinders warm and happy, but also keep our airspeed within the green, because there's often some pretty good jolts as you go down the lakeshore here, especially on a day as cold as today, and there's different thermal layers that kind of form over the lake.
And your request?
Heading 120, Jet 707.
Obstacle ahead. Obstacle ahead.
Sometimes the plane yells at us when we get what it thinks is too close to the Chicago skyline, even though we're a safe distance away from it. That water looks cold. I would not want to be down on that lake today.
Jet 707, turn right, heading 130.
So there's a good chance as we
Caution.
go
Obstacle.
through,
Caution. Obstacle.
there's kind of an opening here of the Chicago River that you guys will see off to our right side. And as we go through here, there's oftentimes a very good jolt of air that kind of rushes down the river. So
Caution.
we'll see if we get hit with that jolt this morning or not. Hopefully we don't, but we'll see if it hits us.
Obstacle. Pull up. Pull up.
Southwest 1589, turn left heading 050.
It's usually right about here that we get that jolt. Oh, there's a little one this morning, but not as bad as usual. Sometimes I have smacked my head on the ceiling pretty hard going through there, so I'm very cautious as I fly through this area. All right, now that we're clear of the skyline, we are going to loop around. Soldier Field is off our right wing. We're going to kind of loop down on the backside of the skyline, south of the skyline, past Soldier Field, over McCormick Place, just south of Midway, which is right over there. So we're currently
707, turn left heading 090, direct Lukey.
We're in the outer ring of Midway's Class Charlie now.
Left 090, direct Lukey.
And below the Bravo.
15,000, Jet 707.
So we'll keep it low a little bit longer here, and then we'll climb up, hopefully get into some smoother air.
Jet 707, contact Chicago Center 120.35.
2035, Jet 707.
For 917, you can get to continue along the shoreline and then just prior to the Gary Class Delta break off to the southwest.
We are going to transition below the Class Charlie and then heading over to Bloomington for 917.
Or 917, Roger. I'm going to have a Boeing 737 here shortly on the ILS approach to the 3-1 center overflying you.
Okay, we'll be looking 917.
Southwest 1589, descend and maintain 3,000, maintain 200 knots greater.
Maintain 3,200 knots or greater, Southwest 1589.
Or 917, contact Midway Tower 135.2.
35-2, 917.
Southwest 1589, a beam gleam, maintain 3,000 till 7.
Midway Tower, Sirius November 917, 1,800.
Sirius 917, Midway Tower, Midway altimeter 3058, and verify you're going to Bravo Mike India.
3058, affirmative, 917.
Sirius 917, proceed on course.
On course, 917.
So 1589 Midway Tower, traffic 1 o'clock and 3 miles southbound of Sirius at 1,800, runway 31 center, clear to land.
Roger, we're looking 31 center, clear to land, Southwest 1589.
November 917, traffic 11 o'clock and 2 miles, Boeing 737 at 3,000 inbound for Midway.
We got him inside, 917.
South 1589, the Sirius traffic has you in sight.
Southwest 1589, roger.
We're going to cross right underneath a 737. He's literally going to fly directly over us.
917, contact Chicago approach, 119.35, good day.
1935, have a great day, 917. Chicago approach, good morning. Sirius November 917, 1800.
November 917, Chicago approach, good morning. Is that your full call sign?
Hey, affirmative, 917.
We're going to go flight level change, 100 and...
917, squawk 1310.
1310, 917.
All right, 1310 on the squawk. We're clear of the Charlie. We're still in the 3600 Bravo. We're going to begin our climb here. And just keep a watchful eye to make sure that we don't nick the corner of that Bravo there, because we're going to climb pretty quick today.
Show 340, climb maintain 2000.
This thing is climbing like a rocket ship today. We're climbing at 2,200 feet per minute at 140 knots indicated. It is definitely some cold air today. We're actually flying westbound, so we're going to climb to 6,500. When you're flying on a westbound heading, you are flying at an even altitude, so the first number is going to be even, and if you're VFR, it's a 5. So we're going to climb to 6, which is an even number, and 5, which is a VFR altitude, so 6,500. All right, let's go through our cruise checklist. We're not using oxygen today. Power leveler is well below 30.5 inches of manifold pressure. Mixture looks good, fuel flow looks good, engine parameters look good, and we're not going to be in any sort of icing conditions today. Pull up our descent checklist so it's ready to go. All right.
917, contact Chicago Center 123.75. Have a good day.
2375, have a great day, 917. Chicago Center, good morning. Sirius November 917, 6,500.
917, Chicago Center, welcome. Valley altimeter 3063.
3063, 917.
Oh, 3063 on the altimeter. That is definitely the highest I've ever seen. That is some serious, serious pressure. All right, so let's kind of go through our prep for the Caribbean. First of all, I'm very excited to get the heck out of Chicago. It is really cold here. It's 80 and beautifully sunny down in the Caribbean. So some of the things that we've been doing to prep for this trip. So first and foremost, the plane is due for its 50-hour oil change. That is what I'm taking it in right now for. It's also having some issues with the manifold pressure sensor. I don't know if you guys can see in the video, but it's kind of hopping around here. In one of our past videos, it was hopping around a little bit. It stabilized, seemed like it was working again, and now it's acting up. So we're going to just go ahead and have them replace that under warranty so that we don't have any issues with it on our trip, and so that we can kind of consider that resolved. So I'm looking forward to getting that fixed, because that has definitely made the engine management and leaning on this plane a little bit interesting, as some of my readings have been a little bit off. I've had to rely on secondary readings to get the engine leaned out. This is my checklist for the Caribbean. Got a couple things here. So I have our outbound and our inbound customs checklist, and then I have kind of just our general plane checklist here. And basically these are what I'm going to be using since this is my first time flying internationally. This is kind of what I'm going to be using just to make sure that I don't screw anything up on this trip. And so kind of the things people have been asking me, hey, what do you need to do to actually fly internationally? And so first and foremost, we're getting the plane ready. So we're doing our oil change, we're making sure that we have our chocks in back, our tie-down straps, cleaning supplies, sun visors for while the plane's parked out on the ramp. Had to make sure that we had all of our registration in order. We are still waiting for our official registration from the FAA, but Eric down at Cirrus did a wonderful job of expediting that for us and overnighting it to us. It's actually on its way today, so we'll have that in place as well. So our registration's all good. Insurance is a big one. So our insurance policy allows us to fly down to the Caribbean, but a lot of aviation insurance policies don't allow you to leave the continental US. So that's something to definitely check out. Make sure you're covered from an insurance standpoint. I always keep a copy of my insurance card on the plane, just like you do in your car. So I always have that with us if we ever need it for anything. Radio operator's license, that's a big one. you need an FCC radio operator's license to operate your avionics radio outside of the United States. Oddly enough, for whatever reason, my understanding is that you don't need that license when you're in the U.S., but you need it outside of the U.S. from a U.S. governmental agency. So I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. A lot of government things don't make sense to me, but you need your radio license.
Volunteer 3087, sorry about that.
And then the last thing you need, obviously, is you want to make sure that your plane is airworthy. You need your airworthiness certificate, which obviously you need that in the U.S. as well from the FAA, but you want to make sure that you have that when you're flying internationally. So those are kind of the things that we're doing to the plane to get it prepped. We're also doing simple things, obviously topping off the fuel, topping off the TKS.
As far as I know,
we're putting some extra oil in the back to bring with us, so we have plenty of oil with us should we need it on the trip. So just kind of routine preventative things on the plane just to make sure that it's in tip-top shape and we have everything that we need with us for the trip. So that's the plane. Safety equipment, so that's kind of the next huge category. We made sure that we have pretty much everything we need from a safety equipment standpoint. So I always personally have 4 life jackets on board this plane at all times because we do fly over open water from time to time. So we have four inflatable life jackets on the plane. We'll have our life raft. We have a 4-person enclosed life raft that we'll have with us on the plane as well. That'll be in the back seat, and we'll go over kind of the procedure for if we need to ditch the plane over the ocean, kind of what that looks like. But we'll have our life raft with us. We'll have an EPIRB, which is a emergency locator beacon with us, as well as a portable satellite-based communication device. I have a satellite-based communication device that I use when we boat across Lake Michigan in open water so that we always have a way to communicate with shore if there's an emergency or should we need to, so I'm going to bring that with us. And then we're going to have with us our neon green rapid ditch bag. And basically what that is, it's a volt-colored bag that matches the plane, and in that bag we have everything we need should we need to ditch the plane. We've got a pocket knife in there, we've got a flashlight, we've got batteries, emergency blankets, flares, we have water signal dyes, mirrors, signaling devices, compass, portable oxygen, emergency water, first aid kit. So really everything that we would need to survive on that life raft for a period of 2, 3, 4 days should we ever need that. We'll have that with us. Now, hopefully, since we have multiple different types of locator beacons, there's an ELT on the plane itself, we have an EPIRB device, we have a satellite communication device. Hopefully, should something happen to the plane and we end up in a life raft, they would be able to find us pretty darn quickly. But in the event that they can't, we'll make sure that we have all of our various devices that we need to survive out there. So that's kind of it from a plane and a safety standpoint. Just from a procedural standpoint, so there's a program called the Electronic Advanced Passenger Information System, or EAPIS for short, and basically that allows you to file with Customs and Border Patrol to let them know when you're leaving the country and coming back into the country. It's kind of a manifest of who is on the plane from a crew standpoint and a passenger standpoint, and that just allows you to kind of expedite getting out of the country and coming in. So we need to file that at least 60 minutes before we depart both ways. You need to have a small Customs Border Patrol decal, for lack of a better word, which you pay a user fee and you get this decal for your plane, and that basically ties your plane to a log number in the CBP database. So we have that on our plane. Obviously all occupants need their passports, so it's no different than flying commercially. You need to have your passport with you. I obviously need to have my pilot's license, my medical certificate, and my photo ID. That's no different than when you're flying around the United States. I mentioned the radio operator license earlier, and then we need permission to depart from CBP. So that's basically a notice that we're allowed to leave the country and depart. So those are kind of the things we need to leave the country. To get back into the U.S., we need to select an AOE, which is an airport of entry. Basically that means that we're picking an airport that has customs at the airport. We also need to refile that EAPIS for all of our passengers. We need to get permission from CBP to enter the country. Obviously need to have our passport, pilot's license, medical, photo ID, radio operator's license, all of that applies. The other two things that you need to do to arrive into the U.S. are you need to file a flight plan. So if you're VFR, you need to file a VFR flight plan. If you're IFR, that will suffice as your flight plan. And if you're VFR, you need to make sure that you have a transponder code in your transponder. I believe it's at least 15 minutes prior to penetrating the Air Defense Identification Zone, or the ATIS. Basically, that's a giant perimeter around the country. It's the Air Defense Zone. And you don't want to fly through that if they don't know who you are, because you're going to have some friends flying off your wings in fighter jets, and you're going to be saying a prayer that they don't shoot you down out of the sky. So you want to make sure that you file a flight plan and follow that to a T. That's something that you don't want to mess around with. So that's pretty much it. There's some customs forms and things to file with Turks and Caicos and with the Bahamas and with British Virgin Islands, but those are pretty routine and pretty standard. You know, a lot of those touristy countries, they're really interested in collecting their fees, so as long as you show up with your cash in hand and the paperwork filled out, you know, the custom process is pretty easy in those countries. So that's really it. We've got kind of, like I said, I have our checklist here. It's a nice laminated checklist of all the things that I just mentioned, and then I have kind of my checklist as well. And I use those basically just to double check myself and make sure that I'm not forgetting something or doing something stupid as we fly out of the country. So that's kind of it. We're looking forward to the trip, as I mentioned. I think it's going to be a really cool trip. We're going to try to take a lot of videos and document a lot of it on the channel here. Some of the most beautiful flying in the world, I think, is down in the Caribbean, so we're super excited for that. And I'll make sure that we get, like I said, some great footage and hopefully some informational videos as well along the way for people that haven't flown out of the country, that maybe are a little bit intimidated by it or just want to see somebody else do it for a first time before they try to do it themselves. I know I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of people that I admire on YouTube that are pilots, you know, flying internationally and flying out of the country and kind of the process that they go through. And so hopefully I'll kind of pay back a little bit and just document our process and share a little bit about our experience with that as well. So this has been a super quick flight. We are only about 12 minutes from Bloomington. I'm going to go ahead and start getting us prepped for our descent. I'm going to go through our descent checklist here in just a moment.
United 359, contact Kansas City Center 133.15.
So I'm going to put our ATIS in COM2 COM2 active. I'm going to put tower in COM2 standby.
5427, descent
That's kind of my procedure.
Maintain 11,000, PRE altimeter 3068.
And let's go ahead and pick up the ATIS real quick.
Niner ILS DME unserviceable. ILS runway 29er and localizer runway 29er and runway 11 localizer back course not available. Runway 220 closed. Advise on this contact of information alpha.
Information alpha.
Bloomington Tower with information alpha, time 1456 Zulu, wind 300 at 11, visibility is 10, skies clear below 12,000. Temperature 21, dew point 27, altitude is 3063. Visual approaches, runway 29er in use. No TAMs, runway 29er ILS DME unserviceable. ILS runway 29er and localizer runway 29er and runway 11 localizer back course not available. Runway 220 closed. Advise on this contact of information alpha.
All right, we've got alpha. They're landing runway 29er, which is perfect. We're kind of on an extended right base right now for runway 29er. I went ahead and I loaded up the visual approach for 29er into our avionics here, so I've got that loaded up. One of the really cool things on the Cirrus is the visual approaches on Garmin allow us to pretty much not really even think about flying a normal traffic pattern, especially at an airport that's not busy. So basically what this did is it created a waypoint for us 5 miles from the end of the runway. We're direct to that waypoint right now, so we're on an extended right base to that waypoint, and then we'll basically just make a right turn final to runway 29. It'll also calculate for us the VNAV profile, so I've got a top-up descent coming up here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my flight plan. It wants me at 2,500 feet, 5 miles from the runway, so I'm going to bug that here. 2,500 feet is bugged. I'm going to hit VNAV and standby. VNAV is in standby now. And what will happen is when we reach our TOD, or top of descent, it's going to auto-descend us down to that 2,500 foot at a perfect 3-degree glide slope to that point. So very nice, gentle descent down into the airport, and it kind of takes all the guesswork out of when should I start my descent and what altitude should I be at as I fly into an airport. The only thing that's going to rain on our parade here a little bit is there are some clouds in the way. So it's clear at the airport, but we've got a cloud layer kind of in front of us here. And it looks like if we do what the avionics are going to want us to do, it's going to kind of descend us right through that cloud layer, which we are VFR, so we can't do that. So I'm actually going to begin our descent early here and descend us down below these clouds. We'll see how low we need to get below this cloud deck. And then we'll just kind of take it the rest of the way into the airport a little bit lower than we normally would. One of the things I didn't mention actually on our checklist here are kind of some of the creature comfort things that we're going to be doing for the trip. So I actually installed Starlink in this plane, so we have Wi-Fi all the way up to 25,000 feet as long as we're below 250 knots in ground speed, which most of the time we are below that threshold. So we have high-speed in-flight Wi-Fi, which will be a great creature comfort for this trip. Obviously, we're going to bring along plenty of snacks and water and things to drink, just so that we're hydrated and fed and happy and in good moods. So we'll bring that along with us. And aside from that, I mean, the plane's pretty comfortable. The seats are comfortable. There's tons of legroom in here. I can slide my seat all the way back. I can recline this seat all the way back if I want to. So there's a lot of comfort, a lot of legroom, a lot of space in here. When you're on a long cross country and you have the autopilot engaged, it's nice to take advantage of that. So really not much else that we need from a creature comfort standpoint, but if there was, we would obviously bring it along with us. All right, this cloud layer is kind of really right in our way. I'm actually going to level us off here at 5,300. And the airport's reporting... The airport's clear, there's just this cloud layer right here, so...
Yeah, thank you, 12 and 300. Thanks for checking.
I'm going to actually get us up...
5427, contact St. Louis approach, 125.8. Yes, 5427, contact St. Louis approach, 125, sound good?
I might need to get us a pop-up IFR here because this cloud layer... The airport says it's clear, but I can't see past this cloud layer, and we're only 25 miles from the airport, which is not a great sign. So I'm going to keep us up high here for a little bit longer.
Number 9017, contact St. Louis approach, 128.72.
2872, good day, 917. St. Louis approach, Sirius November 917, 5,500 descending, information Alpha.
9017, St. Louis approach, good morning.
So we're 20 miles from the airport. There's a really strange cloud layer. It's crystal clear off to our right. It's socked into clouds to the left and in front of us. But the airport is reporting that it's clear. So I'm thinking that this cloud layer must break up. I just can't see the back side of it. So I'm going to kind of maintain 5,500 for now, which puts us above the clouds. And I'm going to see if I can find a nice hole to kind of dive down through and get us into the airport. And then if we can't do that, I've got the RNAV, the runway 29, loaded as a backup in our avionics, and we'll go ahead and activate that if we need to get us down into the airport and get a quick pop-up IFR.
Approach, good morning, 2123 Lima, level at 5,000, direct Pontiac.
2123 Lima, St. Louis approach, good morning, to Bloomington, altimeter 3062.
3062, 23 Lima, thanks.
Man, this gauge is really jumping around. I'm glad that we're taking this in for maintenance because it's progressively getting worse over the last 2 hours or so of flying. So it's definitely something that we need to get replaced. All right, we're going to go through our descent checklist. Oxygen's not needed, altimeter set. Landing light, we're going to turn on with our landing clearance. We've got our probe heat on. Fuel quantity is good. We're on the fuller of the two tanks. We're not doing a rapid descent. We've got brake pressure on our brakes. And then our before landing checklist, fuel pump's already on. We're going to do mixture full rich with flaps, and then we've got our autopilot left to go. So I see a really nice hole in the clouds over here, kind of if we go straight towards the airport. So instead of setting us up for a 5-mile final on our right base, we're going to kind of actually just fly straight to the airfield. I can see there's a big hole
Vertical track.
in the clouds around the airport. So we're going to fly straight towards the airport to descend down through the cloud deck. And then we'll kind of just enter a downwind if we need to and fly a normal traffic pattern to our landing on runway 29.
Chicago 5427, maintain 3,000, advisory near the runway.
Hurry!
Alright, I'm actually going to turn off the autopilot. I'm just going to hand fly this the rest of the way in.
Chicago
it'll be a little bit easier than
2,500.
trying to dive through the clouds with the autopilot on.
And 9017, descend at your discretion, and you can find runway 29er.
Our discretion, 29er, 917.
Altitude.
One of the things I'm being careful of here is I don't want to descend too quickly. I'm trying to descend a little quick to dive through these cloud layers, but I don't want to shock cool the engine, especially with how cold it is out. So I'm trying to kind of keep our descent somewhere around 700 to 800 feet per minute.
So 1127, maintain 3,000. I'll return inbound for you in just a minute. Traffic is at 2 to 3 o'clock and 3 miles. It's widening out for their base turn into runway 31 and RJ.
All right, we are clear of this cloud layer now. There's still a little bit of scattered clouds up ahead.
Legion 1085.
But I have a straight view now to the airport, so I'm going to turn a little bit more to the left.
6,000.
Get us kind of on an extended right base now for runway 29. And I've got the airport in sight.
Good track 1127, thank you. And caution weight turbulence for that traffic. You'll be behind them for the approach. You can flighting at 280 and it's up to runway 31 localizer.
Alright, we're going to pull the speed back a little bit because we're starting to get into some rougher air as we get down.
For 9017, advisory to get Bloomington Airport in sight, 12 o'clock and about 14 miles.
We got it inside 917.
For 9017, you can proceed just enter base for runway 29. And you can squawk VFR now. Frequency change approved. Tower frequency be 124.6.
Alright, we'll squawk VFR over to tower. Have a good day, 917.
Yeah, take care. Alright, 1127.
Alright, we're squawking VFR. We're going over to tower. Some good bumps here.
Going to tower, Sirius November 917, 10 miles northeast, inbound full stop with Alpha.
Sirius 917, Bloomington Tower, Roger, report 2 mile left base, runway 29er.
Report a 2 mile base for runway 29er. We'll be coming on a right base for 917.
Okay, you're inbound from the southeast, right?
I'm sorry about that. We're coming in from the northeast for 917.
November 917, Roger, report 2 mile right base, runway 29er.
Report 2 mile right base for 29er, 917.
Alright, we're going to start slowing up here. Alright, first notch of flap speed checks below 150. Alright, there's the runway.
Bloomington Tower, this information Bravo's current altimeter is 3063.
Tower 917, 2 mile right base for 29.
Sirius 917, Bloomington Tower, Roger, runway 29er, clear to land.
29er, clear to land, 917.
Alright, we're clear to land, landing lights coming on. We've got the runway in sight, our speeds look good. We're full rich, full boost, flaps are 50.
$500.
500 foot, boosted, full rich. We have landing clearance. We just need to get our last notch of flaps in, which we are going to do in just a second. Okay, we're below 110. The last notch of flaps are coming in. And yacht ampers away. Landing checklist is complete. We are landing. That is runway 29.
First 917, turn right on Delta.
Right on Delta 917.
All right, we're down here in Bloomington. Get this oil change done, get this sensor changed out, and then this plane will be all set for the Caribbean. So thank you guys for coming along. Thanks for everybody who's subscribed. And thanks for those of you who are just discovering the channel. Lots of great comments and conversations going on. So I appreciate all you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments.
There's 917, taxi via Echo Charlie to the ramp, monitor ground, 0.65.
Echo Charlie to the ramp, monitor ground, 917, good day.